Arvella Gray, another fine man of music in the Chicago circles. I wish I'd been able to tape you in your right surroundings, Arvella. That is, in the street.
Sure. Yeah, I'm now is a freelance singer, and I goes all over the country. And I just recently came back from the Kentucky Derby, which is a annual event in this country. But my life story started out a little bit when my mother died in 1918 when I was a child, and I went from pillar to post trying to get someone to love me, but everywhere I would stop at, well, I'd have a rough time of it. So then, in 1923, I joined the Wrangling Brothers Circus down south, and so I traveled all over with them, doing the rough job like putting up the tents and watering the elephant. In them days, wasn't so much water in some of these towns.
No?
And I was supposed to get $3 a week, which I never did receive, but I was just happy because my surrounding with the people seemed to want me, and I was wanted in this surrounding. So I traveled such as to Cuba and to Canada and then through the United States here. I never did go up in Europe with them. And in the wintertime, well, I'd mostly take to the railroad because I love the railroad and such as Gander dances, we call it, not stationary gang. And that would lay tracks. And that's where I
Yeah.
learned some of my railroad songs on the railroad. And I was sort of a floater. I never did married to no one job and stay in one place, but by being a pretty good worker, I was always able to find a job everywhere I'd go. And I did all kind of work from domestic work, like in homes and things, and to the ditch digging, highways, and I worked in the foundries, and but I just traveled all around. I just didn't stay in one place. And then in 1930, September the 13th, I was working on the railroad for the Santa Fe down right out of Peoria in a little place called Chillicothe, Illinois, 21 miles from Peoria. And had been there about 5 months, and so then I got in an argument with a fella, and he shot my eyes out. But in the meantime, I one of my hobbies was gambling. I loved to gamble. I never was no big time gambler, but I did maintain a pretty good standard of living out of gambling and losing and winning.
Yeah.
And then September the 13th is when I got shot one night, and 3 months I laid in the hospital because they didn't know whether I was going to live or die because I was shot in my head and half of my hand was shot off. So then when I did come out the hospital at the age of 24, made my 24th birthday in the hospital, January 28th, 1931. So when I came out of the hospital, well, then I'd sat down a few weeks there and tried to figure out what the next step was to take. Now, I wasn't angry because I lost my sight, but it's the way I lost my sight, just in an argument, because I know anybody can be misfortune, and I wasn't bothered about that, but
It
it
was
was,
in the wrong way.
it just was in the wrong way,
Yeah.
yeah. And so then I remember down in Texas a fellow by the name of Eddie Wade. Eddie Wade, I went down there last fall and visited him, and he's 65 years old. He lives in Summersville, Texas. And he used to play the guitar every weekend whenever we get through working on the plantation. At the time, we was working on Dolly Boyd Plantation, and immediately after my mother died, and I used to follow him around a little. And so I remember that. So then I got me a guitar. Well, then I went to different musicians, and they said, well, you won't be able to play nothing. I said, well, maybe to myself I'd be able to make a living. And so all of them turned me down and just told me, go ahead, forget it, because I don't have the fingers to record the guitar. So then I learned out what I do know. I learned out on the street, sitting on fire plugs, and I used to have a bunch of children. I had me a big audience, and they was all very happy, although I wasn't doing that much, but they was very happy I was trying to do. And then after I did learn how to play a song or two, well, then I used to play in churches. And then from churches and being on the street, and then I went from city to city, California, Texas, Oklahoma, and I'm known all over the country, United States, as a street singer. And because I played in most of the major cities, in the different cities that I did play on the corners, I'd have a problem at time, but I learned to enjoy the problem. In which I mean that police would come and say, "You can't play on this corner." And they started to question me, and I'd move around to the next corner, and sometimes they'd chase me clear out of town. And so must have got pretty good. Now they accept me, and now the police don't bother me, and I get words. And so I go look the policeman up. I said, "Can't you see?" And then he said, "Well, you continue on like that, but then main time I have the run of the country seem like today." And I've been very happy all through the whole thing, as I never, had nothing to worry about, and as some people have. I maintain a pretty good living, but I'm a freelance singer.
Yeah.